Hi viewer, today we are going to talk about how to write about plot of video or a story. And as I have discussed earlier, my videos are basically targeting the syllabus or the course outline of the General Foundation program for technical colleges from the Ministry of Power, Oman, for the academic year 2019 to 20. And today's outcome, as I discussed earlier, are about writing about the plot of a book, or the same instruction or same method can be followed to write about the film. And other than discussing the plot, the student would be able to share their reaction about the book or the film. So let's move on. Before we write anything about plot, obviously we are going first to discuss what plot is, and I have shared a dictionary definition for the plot, and this says that actually plot is a sequence of the events which happen in the story in the same sequence as well, and within those events we learn about the characters of the story, the setting of the story, as well as the moral of the story. So all these three things are going to be learned through the action or the events happening in the story, and this all sum up the plot of the story. So when we talk about or write about the plot, actually we are going to discuss all these four things. The main objective or the main target would be to talk about the sequence of the events, but within doing so, a lot would be shared about the setting and the characters of the story, and that sequence of the events would lead to talk about or reveal the moral of the story. So when we write about the plot, actually all these four things should be in our mind, what we are going to write about. Technically speaking, if we discuss the action plan of the story, every story has got a beginning, a middle, and an end. And the beginning is actually the exposition of the setting and most of the major characters of the story, as well as a part of the conflict is revealed in the beginning of the story. While then in the middle, this conflicts give a rise in the action till it reaches to its climax, and after climax the action falls down, summing up the situation, coming to their natural end, and in the end there is a resolution, obviously, of that conflict which started at the beginning or within the rise of action. So this whole sequence gives the sequence of the event of the plot. So let's take a story, and today I have taken an adult story of teens, which is Anne of Green Gables. It's a novel, and a movie was also made, an animated film is there under the same name. So by taking this example, I have tried that you would be able to write about the story as well as about the film. First, what was the exposition in the beginning? For the people who have seen it or read it, it's fine. Those who are not done, before going to this, they have actually to read the major part of the story, or you can always go to YouTube to see the animated film of under the same name, with the same inspiration from this book. Sorry. So let's talk about the exposition of this novel. In the beginning, we come to know that Anne is actually an orphan. She was living in the orphanage, but Marilla and Matthew, they are a couple of brother and sister. They are living together, and at this age, they both need a hand at the farm because Matthew is not able, uh, due to some health problems, he's not able to do most of the farm job alone. So they talked to someone, and that person sent Anne mistakenly because they wanted a boy, but she has sent a girl for them. This we got to know in the beginning of the novel, within first chapters of the story. But then comes the conflict. For the first conflict in the story is they both, Matthew and Marilla, they didn't want to keep her in the beginning of the story, but later on they decided that they can provide her a home at Green Gables. Meanwhile, an action is rising up, which the main, what we say, the main character is Anne, and after some time there at Green Gables, she becomes the friend to Diana, who's her neighbor, and but she developed a kind of conflict with Gilbert at her school, and she got punished, but then she didn't want to go back to the school. And as she was very sensitive about her hair, she had red hair and Gilbert targeted their color. She just wanted to dye them in a different color, but then she dyed them green mistakenly. So that was a rising action kind of thing. Then a number of multiple events at home, and she develops a kind of bondage with the student, then teacher, Marilla, Matthew, and they all become sort of family persons for them, including aunt of Diana. So later on, she got enrolled in the Queen's Academy, where teachers were trained and taught, and that she wins a scholarship for a 4-year college. This all develops, these all sequence and events are developed in the middle part of the novel. But then a climax comes, and readers come to know that Matthew is not feeling well and eventually dies. He has a weak heart, but when he learned that he was bankrupted, so he died in the story. Later on, after some time, Marilla was diagnosed with a kind of disease that she is going to be blind in near future, let's say 5 or 6 months. And then I decide to take care of Marilla now, the way Matthew and Marilla both have taken her care. So she didn't want to go to Redmond, and other than going to there, she decided to stay in the Green Gables, and she wanted to teach in the same school where she has got her education. There, the Gilbert was already appointed as a teacher. He leaves the job and goes for another countryside to do the same job. So Anne and Gilbert, in the end of the story, become the friends. So this is what I wanted to discuss up till now. There is another part of the video which is still left, and that is how to write about the essay related to the plot and the reaction towards the story. That's it up till now. Thank you, students. Thank you for listening to me. Hope you have been following what I